Welcome into Celtics Late Night. Ben Vallis here, along with Wayne Spoonie. Happy birthday, Spoonie. And what a gift. The Celtics win 129-116, their fifth in a row. Spoonie, the birthday boy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Yeah, they've been really kind to me. I went to a game in Boston. That was essentially my birthday gift from my wife. They beat the Nets without the Jays, but nonetheless. And then technically tomorrow is my birthday, which it's tomorrow in Australia. So
that's true.
It is my birthday for you, but not quite for me yet. But big win over the kind of spunky, kind of fun Portland Trailblazers. Is a team I really enjoy watching. And this was a super fun game.
Yeah, absolutely. Australia, where tomorrow is today, and where Justin Tatum and the Illawarra Hawks just won the NBL championship, which we'll get into a little bit later. But spunky Blazers team. Post-game recap, great place to start off here, Spoonie. No JB, no Drew, no KP. You had this feisty, spunky Blazers team nipping at your heels all game, and no problem, really. Like, I think this and the Jazz game, maybe like the chillest games of the season, Spoonie. Is that fair?
I think so. And I mean, the level of anxiety I was feeling in like January and February is just completely dissipated at this point. Which is I'm very happy that that's the case. Like even the Nets game, it's like if they lose this game, it doesn't matter. We're like 6 games up on the Knicks. Who cares? Yeah. But the fact that like they look totally in control of both of those games, and I thought tonight especially, anytime the Blazers got close, Joe's just like, all right, get back in there, Tatum, do what you need to do. And then all of a sudden it's 15 points again, like when you blink an eye. So they never looked like they were going to lose this game, despite like we shot the shit out of the ball. The Blazers shot 40% on 47 threes too. So this was not just like, hey, we shot 45% and they shot 30% and never had a chance. Like they were shooting the cover off the ball as well. So, and even still, like they couldn't keep up with us. And just a nice, chill, fun game. Got to watch some cool dunks. Like this is what it's all about.
I know, I love basketball. It feels like we're in control of the season as well. Like you mentioned, the dissipated anxiety from January. Like it feels just like we have this leeway, this cushion, if you will, to manage guys' minutes into this final. What is it now? Like 11 games left, stretch run of the season. It feels like we're sort of poised and empowered to control what our like elevation and ramp up looks like going into the playoffs as well. And I don't know if I necessarily felt that way a couple months back when it was like, you know, what happened to Sam Hauser's shot? That was back tonight. I think 8 of 10 from 3 from Hauser, 8 of 11 from the floor overall, and like a block as well, and like some good defense at the rim. Drew Carter gave him a shout out for his rim defense halfway through the game. But like Drew Holiday and KP's conditioning and productivity, that seems to be sort of back under wraps as well, plus this added ability to manage their load heading into the postseason. So it feels like we've managed their load. Thank you. It feels like we've sort of got that back. Heading
I
into
do not. I've got bad load management skills over here.
I know. Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Especially on your birthday, of course. You well earned. Anyway, let's move on from there. So 46% from 3 on 50 attempts, 31 assists, very close on like a lot of the other margins, including field goal attempts, steals, turnovers, rebounds, etc. You mentioned the Blazers themselves even shot 40% from 3 on 47 attempts. The Celtics just generated way better looks in this game. They were like the mature older brother on the court, just bodying their younger, much smaller brother, to continue that analogy, I guess. And they just converted on a lot more of those better looks as well, and had a response to any run the Blazers made. So I think maybe a good place to start on like a March game is like, what did we learn from this one? Like, obviously, there's a lot we already know. What did we learn that we didn't already know? For example, in terms of what we already know, JT was awesome. He was the freaking puppet master. We know this. We know that he controls games. We know that Mazzulla sometimes manages his rotations on court just by simply bringing him back on out of necessity to recreate a cushion. But from your perspective, Spoonie, like, what's a new learning from watching the Celtics in these 48 minutes?
I thought this was a really fascinating game when the Trailblazers were on offense and we were on defense. Less so the other side because the Blazers, despite having two really good defensive wings, just have nothing else defensively. So we got whatever shots we wanted. But I thought the Blazers, and like credit to Chauncey Billups, who I thought was a dog shit coach until like the last 3 months, but he's done a really good job with this team, like developing a maturity on the offensive end, to the point where they kind of remind me of us with the way they attack teams. I thought they did a really, really good job of getting, especially Al was not like playoff Al Horford tonight,
No.
like compared to what he looked like in the Lakers game to tonight. Like he was just not up for it. That's fine. That's what we want. But they were putting him in a lot of ball screens, forcing the switch, and they were making some noise, getting by him and making plays and generating open looks. And a lot of it, they especially remind me of us because a lot of it's being done by like a 6'8", 6'9" wing as a ball handler, Denny Avdia, who has turned into like Jason Tatum light. I didn't realize he was this strong. Like he looks like Tatum with a lot of the ways he attacks. But I also thought Baylor got exposed quite a bit in that second half. They were going at Baylor. We were having to bring help. There was several times Denny had like 45 or slot cuts from the weak side when we had to bring help to cover Baylor, that he got like wide open dunks and layups. And they just, I thought, generated a lot of really good open looks when they went at Baylor in the second half. That's fine. They have a lot of dynamic ball handlers, guys that are going to be difficult. And like he fought, it wasn't like a complete disaster where he's giving away complete blow-bys, but we're clearly going to try to protect him and not give up that initial like straight line drive to the rim, which is smart. That's what you got to do. And the Blazers were really smart about moving the ball out of that. And I thought Sam Hauser was friggin' incredible as a help defender. This might be the best help defense I've ever seen him play. Like, not just the rim contests, and there were a ton of those. He had one like in transition against Denny Avdia where he went straight rule of verticality, forced the miss. Jabari Walker followed it up and finished for 2 anyway. But it was like an insane contest. He was like getting into the passing lanes, forcing bad passes. The Blazers had a bunch of like just threw it out of bounds. And a couple times it was because like Hauser's in the passing lane, so they're trying to like fine tune it over his head or around him, or just like get in the passing lane, force the pass so it can't go right in the shooting pocket. Give your other help defenders some time to get over there. He was fucking everywhere on defense.
Yeah, dude.
Like, I've never seen this before from him, and it's super encouraging because, like I said, the Blazers are a good offensive team. They know how to attack, and Hauser's like blowing up their actions off ball. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, man. In a word, like disruptive. He was everywhere. And like he has the tools, he has, dare I say, the dimensions to be that disruptive across multiple positions given his 6'8" exciting whiteness. So it was good to see him sort of fulfill the potential of his physical attributes, I suppose, and just being unusually disruptive. So I don't know, maybe he got a good night's sleep. I know he's got a young baby at home on the road, gets a full 8 hours in the hotel room. Who knows? But yeah, that was a great takeaway from this one. Absolutely. And back to your original point, yeah, just seeing the Blazers like get our bigs switched on to their wings or their guards and just getting them backpedaling as they attack them downhill was very familiar. I thought that was notable to me watching this one as well, Spoonie. You mentioned Shyman. Definitely has a hoops acumen, like to skew optimistic for Shyman for a second. I thought watching him like play in semi-transition, head up, he has an issue where he sort of stops and picks up his dribble a little bit, but even then he's able to sort of remain patient and make the right play. And he did that multiple times, especially in his first stint in like early in the game where I think it was Pritchard came out early with a couple of like 3 early fouls in the first 4 minutes. Shyman came in and we were sort of playing through him quite a bit, and it was fairly impressive offensively. Hit a couple of threes and dimed a few guys up, finished with 3 assists and 5 boards on top of his 6 points. Very impressive in that sense. And our Discord was going off at that moment. Brad's done it again, really done it for the first time because like other than Jordan Walsh, we haven't seen a lot of Brad draft success in a very small sample size. But as you alluded to, Spoonie, that whole time while Shyman was like doing fun, cool things as a rookie offensively, the deficit was shrinking massively. And by the end, I think we were only up 2 after the initial Shyman run. So very, very problematic defensively, clearly being called into many of the Blazers' actions and being exploited very successfully on the Blazers side. He's still like taking more than he can give at this point, which is very understandable for a guy who was drafted in the last pick of the first round. But the signs are definitely there. We've got to get to this comment from RJ as well. Thank you so much, RJ, for the super chat. That'll go straight to the 2026 Vegas fund. He says, the C's have run so many different rotations in the past month that are all very good. They're going to be so hard to stop in the playoffs if Joe doesn't fall in love with a set rotation strategy. Thoughts on that one, Spoonie?
I got bad news for you, RJ. I don't think the rotations are going to change that much once you get to. I do not think we'll see a lot of Baylor Shireman in the playoffs, but it's just the nature of the playoffs, man. There's not a lot of room for minutes when both the Jays are going to play 44 minutes a night. And same probably goes for Derek White. You know, there's big man minutes for sure, but it looks like Luke Kornet has like gobbled all of those up for himself. And then like Drew is going to play. I think the entire strategy with Drew, with how we've handled him this whole season, is so he can go 36, 38 minutes a night. So then it's like 20 minutes left over for Pritchard, 20 minutes left over for Hauser. And that's it. There's not really any more minutes left over for anybody. So I don't think we'll see a ton of that. I do think it's always fun when, like, Joe did it, I think, in 2023 against the Heat, where Pritchard didn't have a huge role. And then in the Heat series, he was like, fuck it, you're playing 22 minutes tonight, Pritchard. Let's see what it looks like. It did not work. Nope. And, like, that's kind of the problem there is, like, you're throwing these guys into a very difficult situation that don't really have a ton of reps. But we might see it here and there situationally. And I understand your point, RJ. It's a lot harder to prepare for a team that goes 10 or 11 deep because you don't know who you're going to see. But that's just not, just like from a pure mathematical standpoint, there's just not a lot of minutes to go around. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, just, high minutes load for your best players in the biggest games of the season that you need to win quite decisively, and in hopefully the fewest amount of games per series as well. So, like, in a way, there's less load on your guys on aggregate if you play them high minutes in a 4 to 5 game series. So, you know, I'm just not about Joe experimenting in the playoffs. Like this is the time of year experimenting is for. There are some high stakes games peppered throughout the regular season that if you really want to get crazy and experiment in those games and risk a press nightmare in experimenting through that lens, but playoffs, we're trying to repeat. It's hard enough as it is. I'm sorry to disagree with the $10 super chat. It's very generous, but you can't buy our favor here, RJ, unfortunately. So that's okay. I appreciate people sharing their thoughts. Go ahead, Spoonie.
Real quick, I do just want to say I thought Baylor was really solid tonight, though, because I know it sounds like I'm hating on him, and obviously we all know I'm the Baylor Shireman guy. I love him. He's been my favorite player since the day we drafted him.
Of course.
But like I do think, like, on balance, like, this was a really good showing for Baylor if he wants more minutes, because you're totally right, Ben. Like, he knows how to play basketball. He knows where guys should be, and he knows where he should be. And I think that does generally go defensively too. Like, compare his minute defensive problems to JD Davison's. Like, JD had no fucking idea where he was supposed to be. He was lost off ball for like 75% of the time he was on the court. And I actually thought JD was okay tonight, but like there was multiple times where he's like guarding the same person as Tatum, and Tatum's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, go over there. Baylor does not have any of those problems. It's just purely athletic limitations, and like those can be coached out a little bit. Like, he's pretty aggressive on ball. No, don't do that, Baylor. Like, do the Sam Hauser, keep everything in front of you. If they make a jumper over your hand, they make a jumper over your hand. But offensively, man, the passing is real, and it's interesting for, like, in this offense.
Yeah, hoops acumen. He knows what he's doing out there, and these are the perfect games. I hope that we see. Like, I think he had 27 minutes tonight, and like these are the stretches of games to do that. Like, I want to see him get as many really NBA minutes he can get without like somehow like tanking our main rotation chemistry, for example, or just our win-loss record over these remaining games, which I don't think is possible. Obviously, it's very important to get the playoff guys some real run together. I know the starters haven't played a lot of minutes together throughout this season due to health issues. That's obviously the priority, but as much Baylor experience rather that we can slot in there, the better, really, because it's clearly bearing fruit for him much more than what is possible out of the G League there. But look, the Celtics, they absolutely cooked tonight. 140.2 points points per 100 possessions, according to Cleaning the Glass. That's good for 98th percentile league wide. Effective field goal percentage of 68%, 97th percentile, a 9.8% turnover percentage, 88th percentile, 120 points per 100 in half court offense as well. Like they just kind of fucking destroyed the Blazers on all fronts. We did not necessarily though get the P-Town P explosion that we were hoping for. I mentioned the 3 early fouls, just a little too excited.
Bullshit.
The P just a little standing too tall to begin this one. Spoonie, what'd you think from? I know we've got Rivens in the chat here. What did you see from Pritchard in this one?
I thought, dude, like tough couple foul calls early, and then like he just didn't play in the first half. I do think in that third quarter and to start the fourth quarter, though, we did get some explosion. We got, a pre-explosion, if you will. But like, it is almost bizarre how comfortable he looks in Portland with like all his fans there. Like, it's kind of cool that he has this connection to the city, and then he just tries to show out every time he's there. Like, you need something to get juiced for in a March game in Portland, right? And Pritchard brings the juice when he's out there. The irony is he didn't commit another foul the rest of the game, so he could have just played. Obviously, hindsight's 20/20 and all that. But when he played, overall, I thought Pritchard was like great for most of the night.
Yeah.
He had one move, might have been on Shaedon Sharpe, where he just like went left hand, hard overhand left hand cross, went right by Sharpe, put his shoulder into him, laid it up, and like Sharpe's not even in the play anymore. And it's like, that is a 6'7", maybe one of the 10 best athletes in the NBA. Pritchard's blowing by him, bodying him, and finishing at the rim uncontested. Like, this dude is just fucking good now. Like, it even when the shot's not going, and it was going tonight, he splashed a couple pretty crazy threes. I just like, it's just fun watching him in Portland every single time.
Yeah, hard overhand left. Definitely one of my preferred PP maneuvers.
Yes.
But yeah, good to see a nice, strong second half showing from pre-cum P, I think is where we were getting there with that one, Spoonie. Jason Tatum, we got to get to JT. Like, another bad shooting night, unfortunately, but efficient, like where and when we needed him. Again, you alluded to this earlier, Spoonie, like whenever we desperately needed a bucket, whenever we needed to add to our cushion, our deficit scoring cushion between ourselves and the Blazers, it just seemed like Jason Tatum was just like picking his spots perfectly, like clearly the best player on the floor despite an inefficient shooting night, like leagues above everybody else out there. Great to see, and just like a clutch shot to close the game right before barking at the referee and getting a technical foul as well. I'm not sure. Did you happen to catch what that was about?
No, not at all, man. Like, it's Tatum. Like, he probably said something dumb, but that's like pretty mild in the grand scheme of things, and the refs just hate him, so they teed him up. Like, this is a guy who gets teed up for clapping, not even clapping, a clap all the time, so nothing surprises me. But I didn't catch it. No.
Yeah, but I mean, the playmaking, the rebounding, it was a quiet game for Tatum from a scoring and efficiency standpoint, but like 30 points, 9 assists, 9 rebounds, like nearly a 30-point triple-double. Like, is this just where he's at now? I think if you look at his assist numbers over the past like 20 games now, he's like well and truly above 7 assists per game. Like, this season alone, we've seen this like in like a 20-game vacuum or so, this like huge uptick in his playmaking efficiency, his court vision, his court generalness, etc. We're seeing multiple leaps in this season alone, Spoonie.
Dude, yeah, he's at 7 assists a game in his last 20 games.
Wow.
Like, that's insane. That's like point guard stuff.
You're
sorry. Yeah, no, I had to burp, so I didn't want to do that into the mic.
Very good.
So I apologize there. I just thought the way he controlled this game, like, people use the phrase that I don't totally know what it means, but he had a great floor game tonight. You know what I mean? Like, I think I know what that means contextually. But just like, it seemed like when he was on the court, everything ran through him, and we got whatever shot we wanted at any time. One little thing I thought was really interesting is Kamara was on him, who's an elite defender. He'll probably be an All-NBA first team defense. We weren't putting the ball in Tatum's hands in getting a pick for him with Kamara on him. We were having him set the screen a ton with Kamara on him. And I thought that was interesting because it kind of like lowers the difficulty level for Tatum, so he doesn't have to like work against Kamara to get him to hit the screen. He just has to hit like Derek White's defender with a screen that forces the switch. And it kind of just makes his life easier. So I think when you're going against like a top of the line, elite physical defender like that, it really makes a lot of sense. And he was setting a ton of screens, I think, especially in that third quarter when he got going. And we've seen the ball in his hands so much over the last 20 games that it kind of caught my eye that it's like, man, he's really setting the screen a lot more than usual tonight. It's something he does often, but tonight it like really jumped out to me how many on-ball screens he was setting.
Yeah, often with Derek as the ball handler as well, which like the doubling of effect of the person that you like switch onto as your defender is whoever started guarding Derek, which is typically going to be a smaller guard as well. So doubly beneficial there. Yeah, so it's a really good call out, and they certainly went to that late in the game. I think that's how Tatum got his final bucket as well, like essentially the dagger to end the game with a minute to go, getting switched onto a small and like going to work there. So yeah, that's an astute observation, Spoonie. Absolutely. Anything else stand out to you from this one? I got a couple of missed points we can get to, but like we led with, like chill game. Not a lot of takeaways.
My last takeaway is Luke Kornet. That friggin' touch pass in the air, kick to the corner he had out of the short roll was bananas, dude. Like his passing vision, they were putting 2 on the ball with Tatum a ton. And that was just like, we got to give it to Luke Kornet in the short roll and let him do his thing. And boy, was he doing his thing. And he was a monster on the offensive glass. We got a lot of barks. There was tons of barking by Luke Kornet tonight. That's when you know he's feeling it. He hit like a fall away hook shot in the lane at one point in the second quarter. I thought Luke was incredible. They put him in a lot of ball screens. I actually thought he did better than Horford did defending their high pick and roll, because he was just in drop and he was like, okay, let's kind of make this work, whereas Horford was getting the switch and he just was like, yeah, who cares. It's the Blazers. So I thought Luke was like incredible tonight.
Yeah, F5 Substacks, most underrated NBA player as well. We have a new underrated plays clip coming out tomorrow by the looks of things, if my editing schedule holds true, and it'll feature Luke Kornet heavily. So keep an eye on our YouTube channel for that one. Make sure you subscribe. But yeah, 6 of 6 from the floor from Luke Kornet tonight. 5 boards, 3 of which were offensive rebounds. Just super effective, upholding what has been an incredible season for him thus far. And can't wait for some effective Kornet in the playoffs. Somewhat wary of like matchup specific problematic stretches for Luke Kornet essentially, but if nothing else, like he's kept the load on our playoff bigs lighter through his incredible play throughout the season. So huge shout out to the Corn Hub. Other takeaways from this one, you mentioned the barking celebrations. We mentioned Tatum's late technical foul. I think that's everything I've got left here on this game. Just that the end of the first half run was really important. It seems like a lot of these, like we keep calling it this like a chill game, a lot of them are just defined by that one run. And it was kind of close. A lot of that was like Baylor Scheinman's defense, I'm sorry to say, in the second quarter. And then Tatum comes back on and we go on that like massive run to end the second quarter. We only won that quarter by 3 points, but it put us up 13-14. And that was kind of it for the rest of the game. We just kind of held true from that point onwards. And it's just those little micro explosions, shout out PP, that really, make these games seem as chill as they are, because they're kind of won in like a 3-minute stretch. And the rest of it is just like holding even the whole time. Anything else on this one, Spoonie, before we move on?
I just thought, wow, Matisse Thybulle's still in the NBA. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, other than that, you're right. Like that little micro run, it's like those are clutch minutes, even though they don't take place at the end of the game. It's like you play well in that 3-minute stretch, and that wins you the game essentially. So that's why, like the second quarter matters, like it's not just about clutch time. That's not everything. And that was a great run. Yeah, you're right. That totally won us the game.
I really thought that Tatum was not going to play this game because he was up gramming like late last night, like early morning US time, last night, Aussie time, about the Illawarra Hawks, clearly coached by his father, Justin Tatum, winning the NFL finals against Melbourne United. And apparently, from what Drew Carter was saying on the broadcast, the entire Celtics team stayed up and watched that. That would have kept them up until like 3-4 a.m., I'm guessing, which is kind of insane. So I definitely expected Tatum to be like, I got no sleep. I'm not playing this game. maybe you can attribute that somewhat to the poor efficiency. But like for him to get no sleep, come out and dominate this game like as casually as he did is incredible. But huge shout out to the Illawarra Hawks and Justin Tatum as well. The Heat, the Miami Heat, Spoonie, they broke their 10-game winning streak with a hard-fought battle victory against the incredible Charlotte Hornets. Love to see it. Credit to the Miami Heat there.
It's just good to see the good guys win one every once in a while. So
Indeed.
Good job, Miami. Yeah. Did you see what Jimmy Butler said too? He was like, "We didn't win anything, and we were supposed to. Met some good people, I guess, and that's about it." Like,
whoa,
it was brutal, man.
Heat
Look
culture.
it up. Yeah, and they're missing
incredible.
this dude. That's how dead they are. It's just the best.
Finally, last pod, I think I said that Sabonis was projected to be out in our second game of a back-to-back tomorrow night against the Kings. It looks like he's going to be back. He's questionable for this one. He's like been ramping up. He's been practicing full participation. So it looks like Sabonis is going to be back. He kind of like low-key crushed us last time we played them, at least on the board. So I was excited, especially considering like we probably won't have we'll probably have some personnel sitting out of this game. To not have Sabonis would just continue the chill run here for the Celtics. Seems like going to be not so chill with Sabonis back. But of course, Fox is long gone in San Antonio. So any thoughts heading into the second game of a back-to-back tomorrow night, Spoonie?
Okay. Is this crazy? And this is probably crazy because he also just scored 8 points, I think, their last game. But I think I'm more afraid of Zach LaVine than I am. Oh, no, that was the Bulls game. He scored 8 points. Yeah, no, that was their last game. I think I'm more afraid of Zach LaVine than I am De'Aaron Fox. Is that nuts, Ben?
I think like historically from a like Celtics specific matchup standpoint, no, that's not nuts. Like Zach LaVine has kind of like had, I don't know if you can say he's had a number. That's not really fair. But he's definitely scored a fuckload of like unfair points on us.
Yeah. Yeah, unfair points. There's Zach LaVine scoring them, so they're unfair. Looks like he didn't. No, he had 8 points last game, so probably shouldn't be worried. The Kings are like the most nothing team to me at this point. They're exactly 500. They'll never do anything in the playoffs. They have like the most forgettable stars in Sabonis and Zach LaVine and DeRozan, who is still playing basketball. But back to back, basically zero stakes for the season at this point. Like, who cares? I wouldn't be shocked if we dropped this game just out of kind of lack of effort. But we don't have a lot of games left against teams that are even 500 or better. So maybe you do take this one seriously just because there's going to be a lot of Charlottes and Nets and Raptors coming up.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I like that approach. Hopefully we like bring some of the guys back. We rested, except for JB, who I'd love to see rest longer with his right knee bone bruise and right knee posterior impingement. I had to write that one down. But like KP, come back, like keep that conditioning coming back. I'm sure JT will just play because he's insane. And we'll take it seriously because he's insane. So I'm sure that we'll come strong at that one. If anyone's guessing, we did not prepare the Kings preview segment, but Spoonie, I thought you did quite well yourself. And Rivens calling me out in the chat here. I must have referred to the Heat's 10-game streak as a winning streak. It was indeed a losing streak, so thank you for keeping me honest there, Rivens. Now, let's wrap up on this, Spoonie. There have been some new details emerging from the whole sale situation. Billy C, as we're calling him, please come on the pod, Billy C. Bill Chisholm, of course, buying the Boston Celtics as part of a broader ownership group for a record-setting $6.1 billion. Are you like aware of any of the sort of subsequent comments that have come out at all, Spoonie?
Not really, no. What's going on?
All right, so Wick said that Bill Chisholm asked him to stay on as CEO and partner. I'm not sure. I don't have this. I thought I saw it reported somewhere. I couldn't find the quote, so I can't attribute this to anything. It may be false, so I just want to call that out. But I'm quite certain-ish that Pags did not have the Wick CEO clause in his offer, which sort of adds a bit of spiciness to the whole Pags thing and maybe a little bit of sheds a bit of light on why Pags did not come out successful in his offer there. And then more recently, a quote from Wick when asked to address the impending cap situation. I got this from essentiallysports.com. Quote from Wick: "It's not the luxury tax bill, it's the basketball penalties. The new CBA was designed by the league to stop teams from going crazy, and they decided that it's not just good enough to go up on the wallets, because then the fans are like, hey, find somebody who can afford to spend whatever, $500 million a year or whatever it is." He then went on to say that these penalties prevent player trades unless the salaries match exactly. Moreover, even draft picks are frozen and pushed to the end of the first round. Quote, nobody will, I predict, for the next 40 years of the CBA. No one is going to stay in the second apron for more than 2 years. But he did add that Brad Stevens is going to make it work. But the important takeaway is this will have been our second year into the second apron. Subtext, next year, we'll be finding ways out of that second apron tier. So I think we all knew this was coming, but this is kind of the first concrete-ish comment, Spoonie, from someone, up high in the hierarchy in the Celtics front office there, to declare that we're going to be backing out of this sort of financial position that we're in right now.
I call bullshit on Wick's comment.
Okay.
Because, the Celtics are in a position where they can essentially keep this team together other than Al Horford, just because he's going to retire for the next 3 years. Everybody's locked up. There's no reason, if you weren't willing to just pay the repeater tax, which will be absurd, and $500 million is not nearly as much as it will be once you hit the $7 to every $1. So a $10 million contract costs you $70. It is the luxury tax. There's no doubt in my mind. That is absolutely why teams will go down, because no one has enough money other than 3 people in the world to just cut a check for $750 million every single season.
Yeah.
This isn't a one-time payment. That is the bill every single year. So I get what he's saying in that teams not in the Celtics situation will probably have to drop down at times to acquire additional talent. But I don't think that's the case for every team, because look at the Rockets. People are already talking about oh, maybe they'll trade Tari Eason because they don't want to pay him. But they could pay him. They could pay everyone on that team. Same with Oklahoma City. People are oh, they're going to have to trade some of these guys because they can't afford it. But mechanically, they can sign all of these guys if they want. They have their bird rights. They could spend $550 million on salary this going forward, but they won't, because of the luxury tax and how absurdly punitive it is. So I just fundamentally disagree with Wick. There are situations where that people want to drop down to add talent, but there's plenty of teams where it is purely the owner does not want to cut the check. And I get it. It's not hey, 30 million over the, 30 million in tax. It's going to be 400 million in tax. So I get it, but he's fucking wrong.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And more often than not, these are ownership groups. So it's not one person being fuck it, whatever. I'm feeling good. Maybe who knows how many years I've got left on this planet. Fuck it, let's get a few more championships. Here's a check for $500 million, $750 million, which is so much money. The ownership group. So you have to convince a group of people to give up their share in what that chunk of money would be. So this is essentially the NBA saying, no, you're not allowed to be good for more than 2 years, even if you have organically acquired all the players yourself via draft and development and picking up guys, undrafted guys like Sam Hauser and late draft steals like Payton Pritchard and building up this team organically. And then even KP, obviously we acquired him in a trade, but it was a painful trade, sending away Marcus Smart. It's such an organically acquired team, and yet there's no benefit to doing it that way whatsoever. Unfortunately, the NBA is essentially saying no, even though you acquired that team so beautifully, Brad Stevens, you are not allowed to remain that good for any longer than 2 years. And already we're paying some pretty hefty financial penalties, and it's only going to get worse next year. So very unfortunate. It is what it is. I do believe that Brad Stevens will make the best of a very shitty situation, but whether it's the Patreon pod later this week or it's probably better off-season material given just the focus on the repeat right now, we will discuss it in full and break down all of the financial constraints that'll go into what will be a somewhat of a rebuild-ish in terms of the current state of the roster this offseason. So I think unless you've got anything else on any of the above, Spoonie, we'll probably leave it there.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I like to refer to it as a retool, Ben, not a
sure.
rebuild.
That's yeah, a little bit less alarming framing there. Absolutely. Let's go with that. All right, so we'll probably have a bit of a different schedule this week. Our guy Jake Eisenberg still overseas in Japan I'm about to move house, so like literally after this pod, I'm going to finish the underrated plays edit and then pack down all of my equipment and box it up. So we'll definitely get something out for the Patreon through the week, but beyond that, unsure exactly when the next pod will be. But don't worry, we will be around. We'll be in the Discord, and we've got a new edition, like I said, of underrated plays dropping on YouTube tomorrow. Wayne Spooney, happy birthday, man. Folks, show Spooney some love in the comments. Until next time, go Celtics.